Well, hello, my YouTube friends. So, with Christmas fast approaching and Christmas decorations going up, we're going to look at a method of making snowflakes. So, get you an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, fold it in half. All right, cut it in half. Doesn't have to be like exactly perfect. All right, so now that's in half. Now this is where it gets a little bit more better. So line up these two corners right here. All right, hold them together and then fold it right there, or pinch it right there, sorry. Then hold it down, pinch it right there. Okay, follow that. Now you have a crease. Make that crease nice and tight. So what you're gonna do though is about in the middle. All right, you can fold it and then you can put a little mark right there. That's where your middle is. Okay, so right there, if you're gonna hold your fingernail down and then you're gonna fold this to about a 60-degree angle, or like about right there, right? And then hold it down, right? Not too tight, but then fold this one like over that right there. And if the edges, if the creases line up, see right here, they don't line up good. So you'll pull this one back a little bit, right, and then kind of hold it down. That's why you didn't crease it like super hard on the first one. And then fold this one over that one, and so now they line up. Okay, so press these down tight. Right here is where you want a nice tight crease right there. Okay, so here's your piece of paper, and if it looks, about even, right, you got your little ears right here. I don't know if that's Voltron or who that is right there, but so here's like one peak right there. Okay, so if these ears, if they look about even, then you're looking good. Now, take your scissors and you're just going to start cutting in it. And you're not going to do it like you did when you were in 3rd grade. You're going to have a little bit better method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that one right there, easier for you guys to see. And then that one's going to be about right there, because I want to be pretty even. So I'm going to do this fast right now. So let me cut in right there, and then right there I'll cut up toward there. All right, now let me go on this side, even though I lost that mark. So that mark's going to be about right there. All right, or you can do it from this side, but this side works as well too. So I'm going to try to mirror that. I'm going to cut down right there, and then I'm going to cut up. Okay, so I got that. Now I want to have a few more. I want it to look better than that. A few more cuts. So let's cut right there, and then we'll cut right here. All right, and we'll do the same thing on this side. We'll cut right there, and it'll take a little bit of practice, a little bit of trial and error. As with all skills, it takes, a little bit of learning. Okay, so I want to have a spot in the middle. So right here, I'm going to cut at like a nice long angle. Then I'm going to do that again on this side. All right, and I want, okay, so that piece I just cut out, you want it to look like this teardrop shape. Okay, you don't want it to be like perfectly diamond shape, and here's why. Because when you open it up, so now you're going to unfold it. It's not a rose, because only God can unfold a rose. There you go, voila. A paper snowflake with all this stuff right here. So you got a paper snowflake. Now that other piece, where'd it go? Like right here. So it's teardrop shape. If you cut this piece right here out of the middle and it's like perfectly diamond shaped, perfectly symmetrical, what you'll end up with in the middle is just like a Star of David, right? And it won't be pointy like this. And nothing wrong with the Star of David, but you don't want too many of those in your snowflakes. So that's how you make a snowflake. Then you get a string right here and you hang it up. You do that 100 some times and you tack them to your ceiling and you got like snow in your living room. Okay, Simple Simon. Now, hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. So what if you want to make a snowflake out of a dollar bill? Now, of course, you'll be losing the dollar bill, but Christmas decorations cost money, right? Okay, so here's kind of what you're going to have to deal with. So this is a triangle. It's got a 60 degree and a 30 degree. So the longest, like for example, the distance from this peak to that peak, right? That's your longest dimension. Right? And there's 3 of them, but that's the longest dimension that you can have. When using a piece of paper like this, you have to set it on there kind of sideways. And the longest dimension that you can have on a dollar bill, okay, let's put it right there. Grab your pencil, draw a line on it. So that's the longest dimension you can have. Let's measure it with this scale. So that's going to be 3 inches. All right, and then you'll have another one this way and another one this way. All right, 3 inches. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I made another one of these triangles with the exact same method. And since the longest measurement is 3 inches, I'm going to mark this at 1.5 inches. Like right here. If you can see, put my 0 right there. And my 1.5 inches. Just like that. And so I'm going to mark both sides, because when I unfold it, the distance will be 3 inches. Okay, so 1.5 inches right there. So now my peak is going to be on those 2. So I want a lower one. I'll put like another mark right here. Okay, so let me get my scissors. So let's cut right here. Let's cut down a little, and I'm just doing this real quick for the video. Cut about that much. Turn it this way. Cut toward that second peak. All right, and then now same thing on this side. Start right there. All right, kind of cut down right there some, then turn it and cut toward that other one. All right, so now I have that. And then you can do things like I did with this one. You know, you can make cuts on the side right here. And the more you do, the better you'll get at it. And you'll start making the cuts instead of like, see, that's a triangle. So the better you get at it and the more you know what you're doing and the more you recognize the result, you can cut rectangles and squares and stuff like that. So I'm going to follow, let's do this quick. Okay, quick cut right there. Then I'm going to turn it this way and cut parallel to the edge. All right, and then I'm going to cut again square. All right, so I cut a rectangle out of that one. And then, you know, maybe I want to do something right here. Okay, so I can either make the peak like in the middle or the peak on each side. All right, I can go like this, make the peak on each side. Cut it right there. And then on this side, cut it right there. Let's open it up. let's see, where am I? Okay. All right, so now I have a much smaller snowflake. All right, and I'm just doing this really fast, just, you know, as an example. Okay, let's see if my measurements were correct. Here's that dollar bill. So now you're going to take your dollar bill and you're going to set that snowflake on it just like that, right? And you see that all the points, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all on the paper. Okay, if you can see that. And then you're going to take some Scotch tape. All right, you're going to hold that down right there. Some Scotch tape. Put that right there. Now it's held in the middle. Okay, now they're stuck together. Then you're going to take your X-Acto knife and a cutting board. I'm not going to do this on the table, but you're going to take your X-Acto knife and you're just going to cut like right next to it. Now, what I typically do, you know, it's on the cutting board, and so I'll hold this down tight on the cutting board, and that will help me hold up, you know, that'll help me get a straight line, and I'll cut like right next to it. Don't turn it this way so it gouges into your triangle, but, you know, I'll cut it right there. That'll help me continue straight lines. And then the last cut you're going to make are this one right here, which will separate the paper triangle from the dollar triangle. And, you know, it's even more impressive when you use $5 and $10 bills to make these triangles. And so, depending on how much room you got right here, you might need a smaller triangle, or maybe you can just do, let's see if there's room for 2 on this one. Looks like there is. All right, so I can get 2 triangles, yep, out of a dollar bill. So that's all it takes. And like I said, you hang about 100 of these, 150 of them from your ceiling, and it's beautiful in the wintertime. It's just beautiful Christmas decorations. And they'll get better as time goes by. You know, if you put effort into it and just get creative, there's no wrong way to do it. All right, my friends, you have a good day.